I love this quote, you cannot manage what you cannot measure. If you want to understand what is going on with your renewal, and additionally, you want to use your data to drive strategy, then you have to get access to your data. And so I'm going to teach you a little bit how to do that. I'm going to go through a common report here in Illinois with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Many of the Blue Cross Blue Shields have this exact same report, and the other insurance carriers have some version of it too. But if you're with Blue Cross Blue Shield Illinois, know that this report is available to you as long as you have 50 or more employees enrolled on their health plan. I tell you that because 9 out of 10 prospective employers I talk to, when I reference this report, they've never seen it. Well, guess what? This report goes directly to your broker every single month, and it's up to them to download it and report back to you on what is in there. So first step would be just go request this report directly from your broker or your Blue Cross rep or your United rep or your Cigna rep or your Aetna rep. If it's Blue Cross, it's the Blue Insight monthly financial report. And I'll give you some tips if you're not with Blue Cross a little later. But again, what I focus on in this report is justifying the renewal and using data to guide strategy. And this is a 20-page report. It's got a ton of information in it. I'm sure it has uses for everything. I focus generally on 5 different pages. I want to understand what's going on with your age, gender, your demographics. That gives me an indication of cost. I understand what's going on with your high-cost claimants. I understand what's going on with the leading conditions in your health plan on a per member per month basis, so on a per capita basis. And then on the pharmacy side, this is my favorite. I want to understand specifically what's going on with your specialty medications. And so I'm going to walk through each one of these pages and just give you a couple of nuggets of what I look for when I'm trying to justify a renewal or guide a client with their strategy. This is the enrollment overview or the demographics. I like to look at average contract size. Average contract size is basically your ratio of your total members, employees, plus spouses, plus dependents, divided by the total number of employees. This is important because a lot of employers, insurance carriers, they look at everything on a per employee per year basis. But if you're covering more members than you were per employee the year before, guess what? Your costs are going to go up. Your per employee per year costs are going to go up. In this case, we would have expected this employers to go down because they're covering less members now per employee. Average age is always something to look at. Actuarially speaking, for every year increase in age, add 2 to 4% on top for costs. So that adds up quick. Right here, this employer, 2% additional costs just because their average age is going up. And then always looking at people over the age of 65 because there could be opportunities to get them to move to Medicare. There's going to be some high-risk employees here. And then we're always looking at females ages 20 to 44 during those childbearing years, because if that's going up, that could be a factor as well. So again, looking for some good things here to be able to justify renewal action. Next up is your high-cost claimants. You heard the old 80-20 rule. Well, it's actually more like 5-60. 5% of your members will drive 60% of your costs. So look, no matter what you're doing, if you're fully insured, self-funded in particular, if you're not doing anything to manage this 5%, you're going to have a hard time impacting 60% of your costs. Here's a couple of things that I look for in this report. I want to know who the relationship is. So particularly, is this a spouse? Common strategy employers have used is something called a spousal surcharge or a spousal carve-out, where if you have other coverage available, if your spouse has other coverage available through their employer, they either have to pay a higher amount to take your plan, or you've carved them all out together, forcing them to take their own employer's plan. So that's a common strategy. If we see a lot of spouses in here and you haven't implemented that strategy, that's something to consider. We always want to look at age and gender. Again, that's going to give us some indication. I want to know what the leading diagnostic category is. This will give some sort of indication on whether that claimant is going to be ongoing or not. I want to understand how much is pharmacy, because there's a lot of high cost specialty meds and there's a lot of opportunity to save a ton of money there. So this tells me that there's probably some opportunity right away for this one member. Obviously, I want to understand what the total paid amount is, and then are they currently enrolled in the health plan or not? Because if they're not, we don't care. If they are, how long is that ongoing risk going to be in there? And then do we have to do something and add a program in to manage that risk? So that's always a good page to review. This one, I would tell you more from a strategic standpoint going forward. This is what you can start on if you're trying to think about what kind of programs you could build into your self-funded design, right? In this case, so let's just talk about what this is. This is your per member per month, meaning per capita costs by the leading really condition in the health insurance plan. And so it's adjusting for differences in members. This is what we really want to look at. You know, this particular employer, they had a huge increase in mental health, right? They had a huge increase in this category and in this category as well. But I know there were some large claims there, so that's probably what's driving that. But this employer might want to focus on trying to beef up some mental health benefits. Or it could be something to just dig into a little bit more. So this page can really start to give you some indications of what kind of programs you might want to target for your highest risk employees. Neoplasms or cancer is a common one I've seen, where maybe you put in some sort of second opinion program, right? But this is a good page to help understand what's going on within your plan. Next up is the pharmacy key indicator. So a couple of things that I'll look at here. Again, per member per month costs. I want to understand how those have gone up year over year. In this case, 31%. Okay, it tells me there's probably some specialty medications coming onto the plan. I want to know what the generic dispensing rate is. Most employers are going to be, you know, above 85% at this point. But if you're below 80, just know that you probably got some opportunities to move more people to generic drugs. And then lastly, we want to look at these specialty medications. So again, you got 5% of members driving 60% of costs. Well, look at this right here. 1.2% of total prescriptions are driving almost 50% of pharmacy costs. It means if there's 1,000 prescriptions, 12 of them are driving almost half of the pharmacy costs. So right here, you're starting to potentially see some opportunities. And then that's where I go into this final page, which is the specialty drug analysis. And what you're going to see on here at the bottom is a listing of all the specialty medications that your members are currently taking. And here's where I just see a ton of opportunity. And I'm going to give you the best example. Humira is probably the biggest blockbuster drug of all time. You know, this is a little dated. The cost now is about $8,000 per script. Well, there are a plethora now of what's called biosimilar options for Humira. Isn't quite a generic version of a specialty, but that's the best analogy that I could make. We have successfully moved a ton of members off of Humira onto the biosimilar version that is available through Mark Cuban's Cost Plus Drugs for 1/10 of the cost of Humira. And we have no pushback whatsoever from members. And so right there, you're talking about huge savings. And, you know, if I look at 10 employers, 7 of them have Humira on their health insurance plan. So I would definitely get your hands on this if you can. Get your hands on this report. And so that's probably the biggest action item I'll give you out of this is request your data. If it's with Blue Cross, simply request the most recent Blue Insight monthly financial report. If you're with another carrier, I would request 2 things. I would look for your top 25 drugs by total paid amount and just ask them if they can give you their standard utilization reporting package. And look, depending on your size, and what carrier you're with, there may be a different level of data that's available, but here is where I would start. Take those specialty medications, right? Take your top 10 drugs. Go ask your broker how you can source those at a lower cost. Put them to work. Contact me if you want to do it together. I'm happy to. And then lastly, given this is all about data, and some of you may or may not have access to it, if you don't have access to data today, I would strongly encourage you to consider at least an arrangement that would give you more access. Now, if you're in a self-funded arrangement, you have access to a ton of your claims data. But if you're fully insured, totally depends on the carrier. You could move into a level funded arrangement or some sort of health reimbursement account, and that would allow you to start to get some claims data and start to understand what's going on within your population and give you a better idea if you're a good candidate or not to self-fund your health insurance plan.